Okay, guys, we're gonna get right into it, guys. We have Myron Gaines, Marc Lamont Hill, Piers brought on two other guests. I'm not sure who these people are. I know one of them I might have seen her on X. She's some clown that runs her mouth a lot. So they're discussing the situation with this Shiloh Hendricks lady, where she was caught calling like I guess a black baby the N word with the hard ER. She accused him of stealing something out of her bag. And, an individual who was from East Africa pulled out his phone, recorded her, put her online, and you know how things go. It went viral. She pretty much lost her job, got kicked out of whatever school she's in. She's pretty much screwed, right? And so some guy had like some GoFundMe page that he opened up for her, and they raised over $500,000 for the chick, right? So she got a bag out of having like a viral racist altercation at a park, So now there's this conversation about, should we be able to defend free speech? Should she be able to say what she wants to say without suffering consequences in her personal life, like losing her job, whatever the case may be? Now, so again, this is kind of tandem with the whole Carmelo Anthony situation. Starting to see a lot of these like racial things heat up, these little racial instances that go left pretty much, right? And they're very few, but they seem like it's everywhere now, right? Because they're focalized, kind of like what they did with George Floyd. That was the situational, and it happens pretty much every day. Like similar situations happen every day, but that one got mainstream media coverage. This one's getting mainstream media coverage. And again, this is just me talking, what I think is going on. I think that they need some type of crisis in America, to be able to do whatever they want to do as far as, from the geopolitical standpoint. They need a distraction in America, and I feel like they're brewing everybody for like some type of crisis to unfold, like a George Floyd situation, but an even more serious situation, like a race war, right? So anyways, let's get into this video. So this is just like bits and pieces of Myron. So he's obviously taking the position like we need to defend free speech.
With respect, Myron, I don't need to wag a finger when somebody says, yeah, I'm racist, I use the N-word against black people, I don't care. That's a racist. I'm not wagging any finger. I'm not accusing anybody. She is admitting it proudly. Even you can't defend that, surely.
Everybody is racist to some degree. The reality is, it depends on, a lot of people want to be politically correct. A lot of people want to sit there and say, I'm not racist at all. We all have biases. We all have stereotypes. We all make jokes. We all are racist to some degree. Now, how racist you are is a whole other situation, but everyone is racist. That's number one. Next thing I want to say, see, I think this Shiloh Hendricks and Metcalf situation is a microcosm of a much bigger problem. And that bigger problem is what I call systemic organization. And what I mean by this is, for decades, we've had black people literally running around with black supremacy, committing crimes, not getting accountability for their actions, and then they blame the system for it. For example, George Floyd, criminal. Ferguson, criminals. Freddie Gray, criminal. A lot of these people are criminals, and what ends up happening is they challenge a police officer, they get into a physical altercation, things go left, they die, something happens, use of force is utilized, and then they want to cry about the result, when in reality, it's not the police killing black people, it's black people killing black people. And if you want to talk about black on white violence, black people kill white people 2 times as much. And on top of that, most of the shootings in America, a lot of the times, are white cops killing other unarmed white men. So this whole systemic racism or police brutality, or, oh, it's all so messed up, the reality is this. Black people have been able to get away with a ridiculous amount of privilege in America for a very long time. They're able to be racist with impunity. They're able to call white people crackers without being challenged back. And quite frankly, white America's had enough of it, and the chickens have come to roost. Now, look, am I saying that's awesome? Am I saying that's great? No, but for literally the better part of almost 2 decades since the Obama era, we've had to have BLM and liberalism shoved down our throats, and quite frankly, we're all tired of it. Political correctness, liberalism, and making sure that we are politically correct and don't use certain words to offend people is precisely why we're in the situation that we're in. For decades, we've had to literally tiptoe around saying certain things around certain people, while the other group of people has been able to have impunity and be able to be as racist as they want to be, as violent as they want to be, without any type of consequence. And if you call it out, you're labeled a racist. The reality is this. Black people don't want to live around black people. I don't want to live around a bunch of black people. I move to neighborhoods where it's majority white because I know I'm safe. Now, this is uncomfortable reality that no one wants to say, so I'll say it for them. Black people commit a lot of crimes. A majority of the violent crime committed in the United States is committed by a small percentage of people, and they tend to be black men. Look, the reality is the reality. People don't want to say it, but the political correctness and being nice and not wanting to tell the truth is precisely this problem. And the reason why you're seeing all the support for Metcalf and Shiloh, etc., is because white people have not been able to step up and say what they want to say for a very long time because of what I said before, systemic, organized, where they don't take accountability for their.
All right, so there you have it. That was Myron Gaines' take. So it got a little bit heated towards the end, where Piers, Piers obviously he has to play the role of like, oh, I really care about, racism and all that stuff, and I want to call that chick out, whatever the hell her name is, out on, and let's put her on the spotlight. Go ahead and say the N-word with the hard ER on live TV, and this is where shit got heated. So let's play the clip.
I mean, Ricky, it seemed to me a lot of inconsistencies in Mr. Wells's position, not least the donning of the Christian hat when it suits them, but then removing it when it doesn't.
I think it's definitely tough to make the call here and there and where to censor. I err on the side of not censoring as much as possible, but I agree with you that the selectivity of having issues with abortion but not with these campaigns is certainly a problem. But I also want to go back to our point before, too, and make the point that I hate this argument that because some people were tribal, we should be tribal, too. And shouldn't we want to live in a society where we say tribalism is bad in general and negative in general, and so therefore we should be erring towards individualism and not fighting tribalism with more tribalism? I think that's a net negative.
I agree. Myron, your last words on this.
Okay. Because I never got to respond to Myron's other.
The thing with tribalism, it's a natural human instinct. Like, we are literally designed to want to be in communities and want to be a part of a set of community because it ensures our survival. It's been that way since the beginning of time. So the thing is that people are typically going to align with people that share similar features, and that's why we have the tribalism we have going on right now. So the problem is it's not going to go anywhere. I think the problem is that we've had this penting up for literally decades, and this has been a response to it. You have people that are coming out and supporting someone who you guys might deem as a terrible racist, but I think it's also very important to understand how we got here, because if we're going to look at the smaller problem, we can't look at the bigger problem. And it's what I said before, unchecked, systemic.
All right, Marc Lamont Hill, your last words on this.
This repeated use of the word, I think, first of all, I want to just register that as offensive, particularly as someone who doesn't identify as a member of that community and who is not, right? I think that's incredibly
I'm the definition of African-American. I'm the definition of African-American.
And troublesome, and to as a Sudanese American or an outsider, who's using African American in a very technical term, the same way that Elon Musk is an African American, I think it is a bit disingenuous. But the bigger issue here, I think, is that this idea of equating.
By the way, like I don't know if this is true or not. Maybe you guys have to verify or whatever. But according to certain people, like Tariq Nasheed and all these people, that apparently Marc Lamont Hill is Caribbean, right? Again, that might not make a difference, but that's what I've heard. So technically, he wouldn't be part of that community either. I don't know though. You got to verify.
Inside to the other side, often loses track of this issue of power. To use his example, when black people stand up and say, "Hey, let's build our own stuff. Hey, let's have a black power movement," that is not the same as a white power. I'll let you speak uninterrupted. Let me finish, please, my Sudanese brother. So when a black person says, "Hey, let's preserve our culture," I have no problem with Italians or Irish people or anyone else saying, "Let's preserve our culture." But when we don't talk about ethnicity, but actual race, and when white people say, "Let's preserve whiteness," it's an exclusionary practice. It's about preserving laws and practices and tactics that do harm to other people. A black power movement was about opening stores and building businesses. A white power movement was a white power. That's the giga. A white power movement was about something very, 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 very different. A white power movement included lynchings and included Ku Klux Klan, etc. So let's not pretend that these are opposite sides of the same coin. When white people say, "Let's save our country," and even using the language of our country, when black people built this thing, when you say that, you're talking about forcing people out of the country. You're talking about laws that discriminate. You're talking about doing harm to people. Let's not pretend these are the same thing, just like these GoFundMe campaigns are not the same thing. I'm okay if everybody gets out of the GoFundMe industrial complex. I'd love that. But let's not pretend that supporting someone for a fair trial is the same thing as supporting a grown white woman berating and calling the N-word to a 5-year-old autistic black child. And the fact that everyone in here can't be unanimous in condemning that
I totally
says exactly
agree
how they're not the same.
I totally agree. I'm going to go to Lily Gaddis and just ask you one more time. I mean, you've been so unashamedly proud of being a racist today, proud of using the N-word whenever you feel like it. You've had a bit of time to think about this. Is that how you want people to leave this panel debate, with thinking of you as a disgusting racist?
I don't really care what people think about me. As long as you care about what people think about you, you have no power and you lose your country. What I care about is freedom of speech. And if you're not allowed to say the most offensive things in this country, you do not have freedom of speech. I don't care what anybody says. So that's the main crux of this situation. That's what I care about with this situation. It is, we have lived for far too long in a country where you can have your life destroyed. And people say, oh, she doesn't need this money. Her life's destroyed, by the way. She'll never be able to get another job. She's got children to have to support. And I don't want to live in a country where you can say an inappropriate, rude thing, which, by the way, black people can say things to white people all the time and they never get canceled. There's no backlashing about this. I want to live in a country where people are allowed to say what they want unashamedly. And you will
well, go
not
on, then
have
say it. Say
you
the
will
M-
not have
go on,
free
say
speech.
go on. Say the M word. Go on.
No.
Hang on.
Don't invite. No.
No.
I don't want you to invite this woman to say a racially harmful term in front of me, because I'm the only on here. So if she says it, I'm the victim of it. So please don't invite her for ratings to call me the N-word, because that's basically what it's going to be. There's a bunch of white people up here. You and one Uncle Tom on the left here, and to ask her to say the N-word while I'm here is ridiculous. You would not sit here with a Jewish person and say, please use a Jewish slur in front of this Jewish. It's ridiculous. I understand you don't have any bad intent, Piers. I understand what you're trying to do, but we already know she's racist, and I don't want to invite a racial harm to me.
I hear you, and I accept that, and we'll leave it there. Thank you all very much.
Okay, guys. So shout out to Marc Lamont Hill. He caught that at the end. Piers was trying to get some type of moment going. You know, he wanted to get a little clip of her saying the hard N-word with the ER, so everybody could start sharing that. And now Marc Lamont Hill, looks horrible all over the. So he had some random white chick calling him the N-word with the hard ER on Piers. So, and then it's so shout out to him. Great journalistic IQ there. Guys, this is the reality of the situation when it comes to this type of stuff. And again, there's a lot of this. Like I said earlier, a lot of this stuff is getting mainstream coverage because they have a bigger alternative, like an ulterior motive with this whole thing. That's what I think personally. But dude, if you're out there and you get caught saying, going on a racist tirade, or someone catches you on video and the shit goes viral, guess what? You're fucked. You know why? Because any brand that you're associated with, and these individuals start knowing that, okay, well, this lady works at Starbucks, for example, and if Starbucks doesn't fire you, dude, you're a brand risk at that point. Starbucks is within full right to tell her to fuck off, or hypothetically, wherever she works, right? Full right to tell her to fuck off. She works at a school. I think she worked at a school, right? She works at a school. There's a good portion of black kids there, and the black moms come and complain and stuff. Full right to tell her to fuck off, because now you're ruining the image of the brand. Because unfortunately, whether they like it or not, there's a lot of consumers from all specific races and ethnicities, or whatever you want to call it, that are consumers in a lot of different areas. So if you're running around going on racist tirades, she could have just said it once and walked away. The guy pulled out the phone. She doubled down. She got aggressive with it. She kept saying it. Now there's like 16 million views on this shit. Okay? You got to deal with the consequences. Because you have certain companies that are like, hey, I'm not willing to risk my brand, or have a group of individuals in the country that are like, you know what, I'm not shopping there. I'm not eating there because they have this bitch was associated with whoever she's associated with, and there's a whole video of her going on a racist tirade. It's going to make a large portion of my people, of people that consume my product, or that come and shop at my place, or that think it's a safe place to come and bring their families, and it's a welcoming and environment. I'm not going to risk my brand for some stupid bitch that couldn't keep her mouth shut. That's just the reality, whether you guys want to like it or not. If Chase tells her to go fuck off with her $34 with her checking account, and they tell her like, hey, we don't want people start finding out she banks at Chase. Hey, Chase, what are you going to do about it? All the black employees that Chase have, hey, what are you going to do about it? This makes us feel a type of way. Do you want us to protest? Do you want us to go to Wells Fargo now? You want us to go bank at Wells Fargo now? No. They are within full right to tell them to fuck off, bro. Full right to tell her to fuck off. Whether you guys agree with the freedom of speech shit or not, I agree with it. She should be able to say whatever the hell she wants, whether it's the most racist, most despicable thing ever. She should say whatever the hell she wants, right? But the moment that anyone that she's associated with tells her, hey, we don't want to associate with you because you're a brand risk, okay, they are within full right to fire her, ban her, all that, right? Even Myron Gaines, right? Like, shout out to Myron Gaines. I fuck with Myron Gaines heavy. But check this out. If Myron Gaines would have remained neutral, right, and not talked about the Jews, not went on these racist tires, he still would have been monetized with YouTube. He still would have been monetized with X. He's, so, but he's accepted the financial loss that it comes with for speaking out against certain people. Because the reality of it is, if you're going around speaking around about, if you speak negatively towards Jews, whether you like the freedom of speech shit or not, that's cool. But there's a monetary aspect to it, to where like they're like, hey, we're not gonna pay you to do that because you're offending a lot of people that consume our product, and we don't want them to, we don't want them to be angry. We want happy customers. It is what it is. So, he knows it best. He knows it best. So he knows, like, if you say something and you stand on it, I respect it, but don't run around and start complaining that, oh shit, I'm losing money, I lost my job, I got my bank accounts frozen, this and that. You're not in control, right? And now you're a brand risk because you have a full video flowing around with you saying the hard N-word with the ER. There's some random little kid. You're not in control, okay? So don't stand on your shit. You have the right to do it, right? But don't complain about people that you're associated with. They're like, hey, we don't want to fuck with you anymore because now you've exposed yourself, and we have a large base of consumers that are black or Mexican or whatever the case is, and that might offend them too, that we're even associating with you. So these companies are like, all right, this is just one person. You know what I mean? So again, like, we could say like freedom of speech and this and that. That's cool, but like, again, these brands have a reputation that they have to maintain. Anyways, man, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, man. Like, comment, subscribe.